So for this installment of How Much Would I Pay, I'm looking at a 1954 TDH-5105 old look bus. This was on eBay, so again, I have no affiliation with eBay or the seller or the buyer. I'm just going to play the role of a buyer and come up with a price of how much I'd be willing to pay for this particular vehicle. So let's take a look at some of the details on this one. So the seller of this one says that they got the bus a few years ago, hoping to make a project of it. Finally had an opportunity when COVID hit, but it's time to let this one go. The photos that you see with the full bus of seats and parts are just restored from another bus. The bus does not come with any seats. That's a little disappointing. The engine is good, not locked up. The odometer reads 94,000-ish miles. Not sure of actual miles. Obviously, for some reason, GM decided that 100,000 miles should be enough to flip the odometer, but these buses are going to put hundreds of thousands. So who knows exactly what the mileage is on these. It says the engine isn't locked up, but doesn't say like have they run it or anything like that. So a bit of an uncertain condition there. So sold as is, local pickup only. As a problem with a lot of these buses, you need to go get it. So this particular one was for sale out of South Carolina at the time. So with the serial number that's provided in one of the later pictures, this ends up getting placed as a Minneapolis Street Railway Company Twin City Lines in Minnesota, and it was delivered in February of 1954. So looking at the first picture here of the front right side, it says the unit number 1295, and that does fall within the range here of the buses that were in that yard. So this is actually probably the original livery of this bus with the original unit number there. So that's kind of interesting. It has relatively good body. Obviously the paint is a bit faded and rusted through in parts, but overall condition, nothing striking there, no large holes in it. Looking at the front of the bus, again, the classic GM logo is faded to almost just clear plastic at that point, maybe a little bit of paint still left on it. It does have original destination sign, so that's, well, I guess I don't know. It has a destination sign. Probably should be relatively easy to figure out. Do those routes exist on the Twin City lines at the time? Looking down the right side, again, has that original unit number 1295. Wheels look to be, at least the hubs seem to be relatively nice. They've been painted. I'm not sure what this thing is here on the corner. It's kind of odd. But the windows are all there. The rear stairwell, so it's just missing the rubber mat on it. It's not rusted through, so that's nice. And you can see the interior is a bit wanting, so they said nothing. Well, they said the seats don't come with it. I guess there's a picture later that'll look at that closer. So here's the close-up of that GM logo that's on the front, and boy, it is just sun beat. So these are rare. Obviously, can you get a refurbished one? But there's that. The right rear. So I don't know, the access door is open. It looks like some body work may have been done. There is some sanding here. I don't know if that was done in anticipation of painting or whatnot, but a little bit of work there. The rear of the bus, it's got those tail lamps, which at least I guess at this moment I don't need them, but I'm always looking for those. But anyway, some original tail lamps, bumper, rear glass, it's all there. The left rear side, same condition as kind of the other sides. So here is the builder plate that was on the inside. This is where I pulled the serial number off of to look at the Ohio Museum of Transportation registration of or list of all the production buses. And so that's how we were able to place this one. So it does have that, so that's nice. And it does match the U number on the outside, so that's a big part of it is, can you tell the history of this vehicle? And you have two items that match each other independently. So that's actually pretty nice. The interior of the bus, or at least of the driver's compartment now, so through the dust, it appears to be original instruments all across. The floor's got a hole in it. It's got a parking brake. It's got the shifter. kind of your standard old look GM bus driver's area. So there is the speedometer again with the odometer. Boy, it's easy to say this could be well over 500,000 miles or maybe more with its service, but there you go. So the front entryway does not have a set of stairs. It's missing, so that would need to be found and replaced. And here's the interior of the bus. So, man, I don't know if these doors come with it, but he said definitely no seats. These are all seats in the back. The floor is completely missing, so no wood, no rubber flooring on top of that. Wow. This doesn't have much in it. The ceiling looks in the back, it gets a bit wavy, so there may be some damage there, water damage possibly, though those panels are all warped. And now this is looking forward. None of the side panels are there. And the rear of the bus with the seats that don't come with it. Kind of disappointing the seats doesn't. I'm guessing that the owner of this maybe bought 2 of them, and this was his parts bus. And then those parts that he needed, maybe these seats are going to be transferred over to that one to complete that one. That would make sense. Looks like they anticipated some painting on the inside. The interior lights are all taped over. Doesn't look like any painting was done, but... And this door, at least one half of it is in really poor condition. The top of it is basically missing there. All of this other stuff appears to be the kind of trim work on the inside of the bus that kind of goes along the top of the side panels and all of that. So there's that. Here's the engine. They say, isn't locked. A lot of oil on here, so it's a Detroit diesel, so maybe that means that it's run or can run. It'd be nice to know if that did for sure. At least, hey, it started once in the last X many months. And another photo of the driver's compartment, or the engine compartment, sorry, on the other side. Okay, so those are the photos that the seller provided for this particular bus. Again, 1954 TDH-5105 bus. So what would I consider this for ranking it? So the things I look at is the condition of the bus, a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being parts or maybe 0 being absolutely parts, and 5 being a mint condition bus. This is obviously is a 1 out of that scale. So, the body seems to be in relatively decent shape, but there's a lot of uncertainty, or the stuff that you see is just plain missing. It has some nice components to it, the driver's compartment and whatnot, but this is a solid 1 for me. Can it be restored? Well, anything can be restored, right, if you have enough money on it. For my personal interest of restoring this as a transit vehicle, it's pretty low on the scale. Again, I'm going to give this a 1. Now, if I was interested in buying this bus to turn it into an RV, well, it's missing all of the things that I would have to take out anyway on a transit vehicle. So, and I'm not too worried about the historic aspect of it. So, I could put in any door with that. So, that would be, a higher ranking or more restorable for someone that was looking for an RV. But again, for me, kind of more of a historical aspect. I do like it to be original transit. So again, like I said, 1 out of 5 on that one. So the uniqueness of this vehicle, what about it makes it unique from any other 5105 or any other 40-foot old look bus or any old look bus? And there doesn't seem to be anything that's really kind of raising any flags of interest. So out of 1 to 5, I'm going to give this a 1 as well. Unless there's some notable history behind that transit company it worked for. Is this one of the only 5105s out there? How many other opportunities would there be to buy something like this? I don't know. Again, that would be nice if sellers, when they sold buses like this, kind of told you what stands out about this vehicle. These are uncommon. This is probably the only one that I'm able to find. We don't know that, so I'm going to assume the lowest score for that. And then the provenance of this vehicle, which again is the history. What can you prove about it? as I said, kind of going around the pictures, the fact that it has the builder plate and a unit number on the outside, which match the Ohio Museum of Transportation production list, that's interesting. I think it goes a little bit that way to prove that. But that's it. So again, 1 out of 5, I'm going to give this a 1, even though that two things kind of match on that. Nothing huge in my opinion. So out of the possible 20 of kind of ranking this video, this is a 4 out of 20 on that. That's just about as low as you can get, other than the fact that maybe being a complete 0. So, you know, like I said, what's the condition of this bus? If this was only parts, which is as close to that, that would be, as an opinion of mine, a 0. But this is less than just being called parts. There is a structure to it. It's in a relatively sound condition, at least the frame of it. So it's got to be worth something. So my final thing I like to look at again is the wow factor. Was anything about this bus that really stood out to me? And it doesn't. It's a 0. I wish I could say more about it, but yeah, nothing about this bus. There's any history to it or anything unique. Was it in a movie, a TV show? Was it part of a famous event or in town during a famous event? You know, and there's nothing about that. So that doesn't really speak to me. So that's a 0, sadly, I guess. So what would I pay for this? Again, my scale goes from 0 being less than parts and 100,000 being the equivalent of the purchase of the bus from the movie Speed, which is the only recorded price of a transit vehicle. Where does this bus fall in that? Obviously, this is very close to the 0. For me personally, I would be more interested in the parts aspect of it. There are some good windows and frames. The driver's compartment would have some things about it with the instrumentation and stuff like that. So that's about it for me. So I would probably give this, let's say $500 for this bus, which even that seems a little unfair, but that's really about it, I guess. Now, if you're willing to turn this into an RV, there might be a lot more things that would be interesting to someone. They may be willing to pay more because in their vision, what they see possible with this bus is greater than what I see, and they'd be able to do more with it. So $500 is what I'm saying. I think it ended up selling on eBay for $750, so I think the buyers of this bus probably have the same thing in mind. I can't really argue with $750, or even maybe $1,000 for that. So yeah, so is there something else to this bus that I'm missing? You know, what is this bus worth? You know, a fully restored bus, you know, this mint condition, you know, are we able to break the $100,000 barrier with these things? I'm not sure there is, because, you know, again, if you buy a house, they look for kind of equivalents that have sold, and there really isn't any record of what these things have sold for if they're absolutely mint condition. So I think without having that ultimate final price for these, the basic stock stripped down version will never have any value. You know, if you had a Ferrari and it's worth $1 million, what's a beat up Ferrari worth? And it's going to be worth a lot more. But if the end game is only an $80,000 vehicle or something like that, and, you know, then the scrap is only worth a couple hundred. I would like to see that change. It'd be nice to see a little bit of value to these. I just don't think we're there yet. I think it would take some reported sales of these, probably, you know, 2, 3, 4 of these for sale, and then you can kind of see where is the actual value of a completed coach. And then you can kind of back up and go, well, what's one of intermediate condition? Does that raise the value of one that's in poor condition? And so that's kind of where we're at. So is there anything that I missed with this bus? Is it really worth more than $500 in this condition? Does it have more potential that I'm seeing there? I'm curious. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. And thanks for watching.